A large part of what you talk about is grounded in the reality that men are men, women are women, they're different. What do you think this newfound embrace of gender activism and gender fluidity, and a man can become a woman and a woman can become a man, and people can wake up every day and identify as something different? What do you think the goal is here with people who are really advocating for that right now?
The goal, okay, so there's the personal level, and then there's sort of like the socio-political level here. I think on a personal level, men and women want to feel special in some way. It's no longer enough to be homosexual to make you special. Now you've got to be transgender to be special. There has to be some sort of something that makes you unique, and there has to be some sort of tribalism that's attached to that. And in order for that to be effective, you have to convince a society at large to play along with your psychosis. And that's really what it is. When we look at how gender is defined, we say, you know, I've heard, of course, you've probably done videos on the Matt Walsh documentary on what is a woman, and he goes out. Really, I have mixed feelings about that documentary, simply because it seems like it's really kind of red meat for conservatives on some level. But on another level, it illustrates the fact that Western societies as a whole have adopted the language of this woke leftist idea. Well, it's really ideology. It's really a religion if you think about it, because it has all the hallmarks of religion. But when you look at what it is founded on, it is based on three things. It is based on the blank slate, that everybody is like, we're all just blank slates and everything is social constructionism, and that gender is a social construct and not a real, material, objective, biological definition. And on top of that, then you've got the emotionalism aspect of this entire thing. So those are the three like legs of the stool. And if you kick out one of those legs or all of those legs, everything else comes crashing down. So if we're going to talk about like gender identity, if they don't have the blank slate, if they don't have social constructionism, and if they don't have this over-reliance on emotionalism, all of their identity that has been built up to that point, they have to reassess. So, for instance, when Matt Walsh was on Dr. Phil, and he was on there with the bearded lady, as I call this person, I don't even know what to call him, her, whatever it is. And he's on there having this discussion about what is a woman. And so he's on there with a bearded lady, transgender man who wants to be a woman. And then you've got the college professor there who's a gender studies professor. And she's regurgitating the same kind of intersectional, wokesy, feminist, gynocentric ideology. She's basically a prophetess of this new age religion. And it is founded on the idea that gender and identity and well, first of all, gender and sex are like are two separate things. Whereas if you ask any evolutionary biologist, evolutionary psychologist, they are intimately connected. So there is this conflict, I think, of this new order information that is confounding and conflicting with these ego investments that these people have in their own identities. And the only way that those identities are supported and stay afloat is if people play along and use their gender pronouns and use that language, and they play along. It's kind of like, Junior wants to be Superman or Spider-Man, so we're going to start calling him Spider-Man, or we're going to start calling him Superman, or we're going to start playing along, and we don't want to break character, when in fact we know in the back of our heads that it's all bullshit. You know, we're looking at this just thinking we're playing along with the child, and that's really what we're doing. When you placate to a kid long enough, that kid is going to make demands. That kid is going to be the one who's going to set the tone for authority in that relationship between the adult and the child. And that's really where we're at right now, I think, anyways, on a larger social narrative. So, like I said, there's the personal, like one-on-one narratives, and then there's the larger scope of like, we're all going to play along with this nonsense that a woman could be a man and a man could be a woman, right up until reality smacks them in the face, and we see the number 463rd swimmer, male swimmer in the world becomes the number 1 female swimmer in the whole world. Or you see like wrestlers who are transgender wrestlers who go into competitions and they dominate there. Or you'll see, we have this idea that women can do anything a man can do, and men can do anything. Men can be just as nurturing and be just a mother and everything else. And we swap those roles because it's reliant on one thing, the blank slate. It's reliant on social constructionism. So when we say, hey, Mr. Mom or Dad can be a stay-at-home dad and be just as effective a mom as a dad, or vice versa, and we glorify single motherhood because of this idea that you don't need a man, you might want him, but men and fathers become superfluous when that woman becomes sort of this androgynous thing that can fulfill both roles. That is what we have been playing along with since the sexual revolution, and it has escalated up to the point where we're at here in 2022, where we're asking for objective definitions of what is a man and what is a woman. And the reason why the bearded lady on Dr. Phil could not answer that question, or pretty much everybody in that documentary couldn't answer that question, is because if they were to give Matt Walsh a definitive answer as to this is a man and this is a woman, it fundamentally challenges their identity that's been built up all over this time. Because if I can say this is a man and this is a woman and you ain't it, that forces you to go and reassess your entire identity. And that's not, they simply don't want to have to be forced into that situation. They don't want the truth forced upon them.
If you want to watch the full episode, you're going to click right here. And if you want to ask me a question one-on-one, you want to do a one-on-one FaceTime with a group of your friends, whatever you want, you need to download Connect right now. Click right here and let's get talking.